Good morning and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Buddy. Just a quick shout out to The Rec for hosting this podcast each and every week. The Rec, way more than a bowling alley. We drop a new podcast every Friday morning with a new story that will impact someone. We hope that someone is you. And again, I just want to say thank you each and every week to all the listeners that take the time to listen and hear the stories of our guests. These are local people that share their heart. So we thank you for just listening each week. Please take a moment also to like and subscribe to our podcast, give us a review, share this podcast with your friends, family, and on your favorite social media platform. We want to get these messages out to the people and to impact the world one testimony at a time. This morning, I'm excited to introduce you to my guest, Lori Haraldsen. Lori, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. So you had a busy morning, it sounds like.
Yes.
So Friday mornings are what?
Friday mornings, I am the co-chair for the Salem Chamber Greeters event.
Yeah.
And we just get to do great networking. And
yeah. So
see all of our friends. It's a great way to start Friday morning.
Every Friday morning, it's like, whoa. Okay, so how long you been like the co-chair of the Greeters?
So co-chair was all of last year, and then chair now until July of next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you an extrovert?
No. I was actually going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
So
I won't.
I just real briefly, raised as a preacher's kid, kind of forced to be an extrovert, but I definitely am an introvert, and I regain my energy in quiet.
Okay. It's interesting. Okay. So we're going to dive in. Let me introduce you real quick.
Okay.
And then we're going to dive into your story and hear about what life was like as a preacher's kid and how you do your introvert time and how you fuel up. So, because I find that really fascinating. I'm an introvert as well, although I love people. Mm-hmm. So first of all, you're a preacher's kid. You're a serial entrepreneur, a small business advocate, survivor, restored, child of God, forgiven, beloved, chosen, fearless, brave, courageous. And then you say, there are many hurtful words that have been said to me about me over my lifetime. But instead of being a victim, I choose to live in victory. I think that's really cool, by the way. I choose to focus on what I was created to be, fearfully and wonderfully made. And it's a daily refocusing of what the world says versus what the truth is. And then you quote Philippians 4:8. Off the top of your head, do you know that verse?
I know it mostly by heart. Whatever is true, whatever is right, whatever is just, whatever is noble, whatever is righteous, think on these things. It's my life verse.
That's a really beautiful one.
Yeah.
And then I noticed in your Facebook, because I was stalking you a little bit, because I don't know you well, but we're going to get to know each other. The girl with Moxie.
Yeah.
Is there part of that story that we want to talk about in your story today? Or is there, I'll tee it up a little bit. We'll talk about it a little bit. And then I told you, I was talking with Travis Youngs this morning, but the thing he said about you is that you're a bright light. He really likes you. He loves you. So it's really sweet.
Thanks, Travis.
Well, Lori, thanks for being here this morning and being willing to share your story. I know you've been on a few podcasts and radio shows, and let's talk about you. So where were you born? What was life like as a child, being a preacher's kid? I know that can be like the fishbowl, like everybody gets to know your life, good and bad, right? Because just talk about that early upbringing and kind of how that formed you, and then kind of where you are today.
Okay. So my dad, right out of college, became a youth pastor at a church in Fresno, California, and accepted a lead pastor job in Halsey, Oregon. And I was born the night before we were supposed to move from Fresno to Halsey.
Okay, big city of Halsey.
I decided to show up a month early, and it kind of surprised the family. And so we stayed behind in Fresno for a little bit before we moved to Halsey. And it's interesting. The church in Halsey looks just like it did as I remember from my childhood. It's interesting. Then for the rest of my life, until my dad retired in 1999, I was the preacher's kid, and didn't have a lot of the same pressures that I hear a lot of other preachers' kids have. My dad was really great within our church to say, you don't need to tell me every time you see my kids doing something off.
That's so good.
Let them be kids. They'll figure it out, you know?
That's right.
And I loved that they let us make our mistakes and learn the hard way sometimes.
Yeah.
because I was the preacher's kid, though, and the oldest of 2 preacher's kids in that family, I was looked at as a leader and influential from the first moment that I started teaching elementary Sunday school class. Whether I wanted to be a leader or not, I was looked at as a leader. And so I've had to borrow a lot of leadership skills along the way as I've learned, and then just kind of taught myself through leadership books and whatnot to be a leader, even though I am truly an introvert.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what year were you born? Because I can't ask your age. I can
it's fine. I was born in 1973. I turned 50 years old next week.
Oh,
I'm very excited.
Happy birthday.
I'm actually excited about it. A lot of people don't like their birthdays.
Yeah.
I celebrate.
Yeah. 50. Thank God you get to celebrate 50 years.
Yes.
So what day is your birthday next week?
It's October 2nd, Monday.
October 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
I remember when I turned 50 5 years ago. So I didn't think I'd live to 50. I don't know if you felt that way. Was that just me? But I'm like, I didn't think I'd make it past 25, and God had a different plan, like He did for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you moved up to the big city of Halsey. So then what grade school, high school did you go to?
So my dad's job actually took us back through California. So from Halsey, we were there, I think, 3 to 5 years. My brother was born in Oregon. And then we moved to San Luis Obispo, where my dad was a pastor for a while. Area. Yeah, love the Central Coast of California. And then down to Escondido, California, North San Diego County, and lived there. So I think we moved there when I was in 5th grade. So I don't know, 1980 something.
Yeah.
And my dad retired in 99, and they moved back up to Oregon right away. I had gone through high school, graduated from San Marcos High School, which was the neighboring city of Escondido. Went away to Vanguard University. It was called a different name at the time, Southern California College. Went away to Vanguard University, but I'm a college dropout. I came home after a year, went to community college, and just life found me having to quit school and go to work full time because I found myself. So I'm going to hop backwards a second.
Yeah.
I'd gotten married when I moved back home.
Okay. How old were you when you got married?
I was 19 when I got married.
Okay.
Very young.
Yeah.
Married for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And came home one day and found the apartment empty. And I couldn't keep up with life on my own, being a part-time student, part-time work. And so I quit school to go back to work full-time.
Yeah. And you're 20 years old.
I was 20. I had just turned 21. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, life though between 21 and 25 was amazing.
Okay.
Went to work full time in the investment industry. Worked for a local businessman in town, and then was offered an opportunity to move to a much larger firm that was an international investment company, and my life changed drastically. And by the time I was 25 years old, I was able to buy my first house as a single woman.
Come on.
And yeah, it was pretty exciting. Traveled internationally with that company, and they really believed in me. Despite my lack of full education, they gave me a lot of amazing opportunities and leadership direction. And truly, I owe a lot of my success now to the leadership that I had and the mentorship that I had through that company. Yeah. And I was there for almost 20 years.
Okay, so were you a financial advisor, or
no.
what exactly were you?
So first of all, math is my worst subject, and here I am in the investment industry. I started out in the marketing department, worked in the portfolio management department as a support person, so talking on the phone to our clients, which were brokers who were selling our products.
Got it.
And would rely on information that I knew to relay answers to our clients around the country. And then they said, we have an opportunity in Geneva, Switzerland, and we want someone who has both portfolio management experience and marketing experience to go run that office for a couple of months. Would you go? Yes. I didn't even have to think about it.
Yes.
Yes, I will do it. And so I went for 3 or 4 months to Geneva, Switzerland, and it was a trip of a lifetime. Yeah.
So you're 25 years old-ish then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trip of a lifetime.
Trip of a lifetime. Have you been back to Europe since then, or Switzerland, or?
I've not been back to Switzerland. I have traveled pretty extensively because of missions trips. I've gone to Romania 3 times, been to Italy, personal vacation. Yeah, I've had a lot of great opportunity to travel throughout Europe.
You've lived a good life so far.
I have.
This is good. And life's not easy, though. Would you agree that we all have these marks in life that leave scars, but they also help us to become who we are?
Absolutely.
So that's why I really want to understand Lori. Like, yeah, life's been good. Life's been painful. What are some of those early life lessons? You know, I know now today you're a digital creator. Marketing is something you love. I know that you love people. You show up on Friday mornings for greeters. You have a love for people. But yeah, just walk us through the journey from, those early 20s to where you're at today. I want to really understand who you are, and so does the audience. They want to know who you are.
Yeah. So I'll go back to something you mentioned earlier about the girl with Moxie.
Girl with Moxie.
I have found myself in positions of someone needs to do something. No one else is doing it. I better step up and do something right now. Whether it's a really difficult decision in terms of ethics or morals, or jumping into action to help someone who was just injured or can't speak up for themselves. And I am the person who will stop on the side of the road if I see you getting hurt.
I love that.
When I lived in Escondido, I stopped on the side of the road because I saw a man in the driver's seat of a car parked on the side of the road choking his passenger girlfriend. And I pulled him out of the car without thinking about it.
Yeah.
And she went running. And I don't know the rest of that story, but I'm glad that I was a part of that story to defend her and tell her, you are worth it. And my mom doesn't like hearing these stories about me that I jump into danger's way, but that's just, it's who I am.
It's how you're wired.
It's how I am. Yeah.
And then you've gone to Romania and done different mission trips. And okay, so I want to hear about those mission trips. And also I want to hear, you worked for this investment firm for 20 years. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah. Yes, I've got a lot of Lori stories.
Keep going.
I would say the thing that I'm the most proud of with my Romania trips is showing the women of the church in Romania, which were raised under Orthodox religion, culture standards, that the women and the children weren't allowed to speak. Even when our very first missions trip to Romania in 1997, the women and the children were sitting on one side of the church and the men were on the other side of the church. The women could not speak. They couldn't teach. They couldn't do anything. And this was a Christian church, not an Orthodox church, a Christian church, but that's all they knew. That's all they knew was the Orthodox way of doing things. And by our third trip, we had done things from community events with their leadership staff to starting a Bible college, teaching them how to do outreach in their cities, build new churches. And on the third trip that I went, we took all of these leaders that we'd been working with for a number of years out to a retreat out at their coast. And they had us split up, women in the sanctuary, men in another room. But halfway through me sharing my testimony, the lead pastor walked in the back of the room. And I recognized the significance of him listening to a female teacher, a female in a church. Yeah. And I looked at my translator and she said, just keep going. Okay, I will. So I kept going. And after I ended and I prayed and I looked up and all of the men had walked in the back doors of the sanctuary. And he walked forward and said through my translator, please tell our American sister, getting emotional, that she has shown our Christian women how we can do church as a family, how we can do church together. Please share that with our Christian sister here. And now when you look at social media pictures of their churches, families are sitting together, women are helping lead worship, women are serving in their community when they do things. And it's just given them a true picture of what the Christian church looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. God gave you courage, Moxie, if you will, to be bold, to stand out, to not be in fear.
Yeah.
Really. That's interesting. Now, was that part of your dad's church at that time that you were going on these mission trips, or was this later on?
Yeah, it was a number of churches in San Diego County that were pulling people that wanted to go on these Romania trips to go.
So how many mission trips have you done in your life, you think?
Oh, my word. Because we would do them as family when I was in elementary school all the way through. I did them by myself. I would guess over a dozen different missions trips, either to the Navajo Nation or to parts of Mexico, because we were in San Diego County, and then internationally.
Yeah. Would you say God's put that on your heart to keep doing that? Or is there a time where maybe you're not doing that right now, but you want to later? What's that look like?
My service looks different right now. I'm very involved with giving back to our veterans and our law enforcement right now, which is different, but it's a service heart still. Yeah. Just not on it's a different mission field.
How do you give back? I noticed one of your Facebook or Instagram posts that you're the police, but how are you involved with the police and the veterans? What's that look like?
Yeah. So, Salem Police Foundation has existed for 13 years. I've been on the board for 3 or 4 years, and it's a volunteer position. Currently the president. I've got another year or so of my term. Wow. And it's just a great way for our community, for our city, to show support for the police department. Yeah. For an introvert, you get yourself involved quite a bit. Can't say no.
That's interesting. You can't say no. Introvert,
I've learned to put boundaries around my time. Okay. To help protect my energy and my recharging time. Yeah.
I think you and I are wired similarly. Like, I love to say yes way more than I should. My wife thinks I'm crazy. But I only have energy for, a few hours a day to really pour into people. And I've learned how to really manage my energy. In that time, my energy, which is different. So I'd like to hear more about your boundaries, how you've kind of created some boundaries for your life and understanding who you are, how you're wired. You still have a heart for people. And then go back. Also, how are you involved in our veterans though? What is there like a...
So have you heard of honor flights?
I don't think I have.
Okay. So honor flights have been, I don't know how long they've been around, but there's chapters all over the country. There's 2 or 3 chapters here in Oregon where volunteers step forward to say, especially with our Vietnam veterans, they didn't get the welcome home they deserved when they came home.
They did not.
And so it's the honor flights exist, and they've existed for a long time, but it's a way to take the veterans back to Washington, D.C., to honor their service, to give them an opportunity to visit their war memorials, go through the museums, tell their stories with other veterans. And then along with every veteran, there's a guardian assigned to them so that they're not carrying their own backpacks and tracking down their own food and all of that. The guardian is basically a chaperone or assistant to help them around the city as we go around the city. Yeah. And it had been a bucket list item of mine for a very long time to go as a guardian on an honor flight. I got to do it for the first time this last April. Okay. And I'm going again next weekend. So I'll be in Washington, D.C., coming home from Washington, D.C. on my birthday.
What a gift.
Yeah.
And so you're back there and you're carrying this luggage or whoever for a veteran, or is it for the veteran or the veteran and family?
For the veteran.
For the veteran. What's that feel like to do stuff like that? Can you put that in words?
It's hard to put into words, and I get emotional talking about it.
Yeah.
Seeing them process emotions that either they've bottled up or haven't been able to share with others because others don't understand the efforts that they went through and the sacrifices that they gave. For them to find other names on their war memorial that people they fought with and to pay their respects to their friends or family members, it's overwhelming. It's truly overwhelming. It is quite an honor to get to witness it firsthand.
How many times have you gone back to Washington, D.C. and seen the memorials and stuff?
I've been a number of times personally, but this will be my second honor flight.
Wow.
Yeah.
My wife and I went to Washington, D.C. for the first time last August, September, so it's been a year now, and spent just 4 days, 3 nights in Washington, D.C., touring the city, the memorials. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I just was in awe of what's there. So
one of the most touching moments for me was when an 8th grade class of students came running up to our tour bus as we were getting off at the Marine Corps Memorial and stood on both sides of the sidewalk and stood and just clapped and applauded all the veterans getting off the bus. And I was so emotional just watching the respect and the honor paid by these students that I don't see a lot these days anymore. To see it and to see the full-hearted appreciation coming from these 8th grade students we got the veterans on their way to go see their memorial, and I had to sit down and just take a moment to myself. And then I found as many of the adults on that trip and told them, thank you for teaching these kids respect and honor and history.
What caused you to really fall in love with these veterans or the police and really have that respect? I mean, I absolutely respect and love our veterans, our police. What caused you to do that? Your dad wasn't military, was he?
No, my dad was not military. We had family members who were military.
Okay.
Both of my grandfathers were also volunteers with their local police departments as senior citizens, so senior patrol, right? They would write tickets for people parking in handicap spots.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, my one grandfather here in Salem and another one down in San Diego. I think it just goes back to how I was raised. My family taught me to respect and honor those who've sacrificed greatly for our country and for our community. Yeah. In high school, I had a whole bunch of friends that I went to school with that all became officers, police officers, or went into the military. Also, when I was graduating high school, was at the very beginning of the Gulf War. I graduated high school in 1991, and we had a whole bunch of people deploy that were either husbands of my friends or my friends themselves. And so it's personal for me.
It's personal.
It's just personal. Yeah.
That's really neat. I love hearing this story. I didn't know that about you. And, well, it's going to impact me and lots of people. I noticed on your, you have a tattoo, and as you see the word brave, what your tattoo, what is your tattoo?
So I designed this sleeve that goes from my elbow up to my, or from my wrist up to my elbow, and it's all my words of affirmation. And a lot of the words that you read during the intro are on my arm. Brave, fearfully and wonderfully made, unique, forgiven, fearless, courageous, child of God, legacy leaver, restored, survivor.
Free, beloved.
Yeah.
All those bold.
Born for this.
Chosen. Fearless.
And I keep these in front of me because I choose to believe these things about myself versus the hurtful words that have been said about me. And so this is my vision board that is literally in front of me 24/7.
I really love that because I think, we know the word says without vision, the people perish.
Yeah.
And using words like that to remind us we are wonderfully made. Mm-hmm. And do you want to talk about some of those hurts? Where are those hurts? Is it people in high school? Is it family? Is it church members? Is it something you want to really just kind of dive into? Because we all have moments of hurt, I'm pretty sure, but I'm curious.
It's yes to all of those questions you just asked me.
Okay.
People in church, all the way back to elementary school, people in high school, people in college, ex-spouses, all of those things.
Why? Why do you think that happened?
Because hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people. Okay. And you grew up in a great family, right?
I did.
Mom and dad.
An amazing family.
Are mom and dad still alive?
Yeah.
Still married?
Yeah.
What? How many years?
My parents are just celebrated 51 years of marriage. My other sets of grandparents, I've got one living grandmother. She just celebrated 100 years.
Serious.
They were married over 70 years. My other grandparents, I forget, they've both passed at this point, but all of us, great. I come from an amazing family background.
Yes, you
Truly
do.
Amazing.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And where do your parents live?
They're here in Independence.
Okay, so they're local.
My dad can't sit still either, and so he's retired from 2 careers, and he's now a volunteer chaplain for Monmouth and Independence Police and Polk Fire.
Serious.
Yeah.
It's in his blood. It's how God wired him.
Yep. Yeah.
What church you go to?
Church on the Hill.
South or north?
Yeah,
or
south.
South. Pastor Bruce guy, I don't know.
I love Pastor Bruce's world view.
Yeah.
And his he reminds me a lot of my dad's preaching.
Okay.
I really appreciate that.
I love Pastor Bruce. He's one of the nicest, kindest guys I know, and love the guy.
Yeah.
Jason's awesome too.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Okay, so fast forward. So here you are in the big city of Salem. You're pretty involved. You don't work for the investment company anymore. I'd be curious, what made you leave, and what are you doing today? What does that look like?
So, I had someone knock on the door of the house that I bought when I was right? So the house that I bought, I was in it for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Had someone knock on the door and say, we want to buy your house. It's not for sale. It's not for sale. 2 weeks later, they came back. We want to buy your house. It's not for sale. And then my company started talking about doing layoffs and volunteer severance packages. I said, maybe the house is for sale. My parents had lived back here for 15, 16 years. My grandparents followed them. My aunt followed them. Everyone moved back to Oregon, and I was still down in Southern California.
Okay.
And
so the house you're referring to is in Southern
California? Yeah, that was the one in Southern California.
Okay, got it.
And so I was married at the time, and we talked about it, and we were like, yeah, maybe this is a precursor to us moving back to Oregon. Let's just see how this goes. Maybe we should come up with a price to sell this house. And a month later, we were moving into an apartment because the house sold.
And did you sell to that people?
Yeah, we sold it to those people. We came up with a price, and they said, we were like, let's just put a price on it and we'll see what happens. We put a price on it, and they offered us $10,000 cash over that price.
Wow. It's funny. I've often thought, because I've saw houses that I like I wonder if I just go knock on the door and now I know it's possible.
It happens.
Third time's a charm. You got to come back 3 times.
We moved into an apartment complex and came up for Thanksgiving here. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, was in talks with the company I was at to accept a severance package and be a part of their next round of layoffs voluntarily instead of them having to make cuts that they didn't want to make.
By the way, what year was that?
2015.
Oh, 2015.
Yeah.
So they're going through a difficult time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. And they had already done 1 or 2 rounds of involuntary layoffs. So then they said, does anyone else want to go before we do some more involuntary layoffs? And I raised my hand. I said, I think it's time. And so we came up for Thanksgiving. I had just accepted a severance package. We went back to San Diego, packed up everything. While we were here for Thanksgiving, we found a place to rent. And we were back. So we went home, packed up everything, gave our notice at the apartment, and moved back up on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Like it was just fast. I make decisions fast.
We're doing this.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
And so when I moved to town, the only people I knew were my parents.
That was in 2015.
2015.
Okay.
I knew my parents. I knew nobody else. 0.
Yeah.
And I made it my business to meet as many people as possible. And now one of our city councilors has my name in her phone as Lori knows everybody.
Lori knows everyone. I love that.
Because I'm a people person.
Yeah.
I am, yes, introverted, but yes, a people person.
Yeah.
I love getting to know people.
Me too. Okay. So how do you, you didn't have a job, you got a severance package. Yeah. What do you do for work?
So
at that time?
I didn't know for about 6 months what I was going to do for work. And I wasn't really pressured to go find something.
Did that feel good, by the way, just taking a break from the daily grind, just go, you know what, who am I? Whose am I? God's. And Lord, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. It was, I didn't at all feel lazy, which surprised me because I'm such a I don't stop person. But at the same time, I knew God's going to take care of whatever the next step is, and I'm going to be patient to figure out what that is. Yeah. He'll show me. And by May, I landed a job as a marketing person for an assisted living company in town and was with the company for about 1.5 years and moved on to the next thing.
Right.
And actually went back to the investment industry for a local broker here in town.
You did?
Yeah.
Deja vu.
Yeah, and helped him through a transition from a retiring investment advisor to him buying the business and helping with client retention and office management and quite a number of other things.
You sound like you have you have a lot of experience, in the money world, in the business world, in the networking world. So you probably impact people a lot, I bet you.
That's interesting. I learned young in my life that our influence is beyond what we can recognize. Our impact to others is beyond what we can conjure up ourselves.
And I want to pause right there. I think because a lot of times we don't feel like we have influence or impact. And what you just said, our impact and our reach is greater than we even know. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? How do you know that's true? By the way, I believe it's true, but How would you describe that?
People are always watching us. Whether or not we're in a position of leadership, people are always watching us. They like us for one reason or another, whether it's our big smile or our charismatic personality, right, or the position that we're in, or our clothes. It doesn't matter, right? People are watching us. And we can, by our negative attitude or our positive attitude, influence people for the better or the good.
I would agree that we influence people every day. And I've heard stories like, hey, this person influenced me in a great way. But I've also heard stories of the negative, how we influence, or somebody was influenced from a negative standpoint, realizing we do impact people every day, good or bad, period.
Yeah.
And realizing we do matter.
Yeah.
And so, and part of your story is you could be a victim, but you're a victor. I'd love to hear about that, what that means to you, and how you do that. Partly your vision board on your arm.
Yeah.
Probably through prayer.
Yeah.
Reading your Bible. And then, just kind of, how'd you get the marketing piece? Because early on you were in marketing. Why do you love marketing so much? So lots to unpack there.
So that was one of my college pursuits initially, was international business management and marketing. Yeah. I don't know why that came about or ever came about, but that was one of the original things that I went to college for. And now I do social media for people. So I've left working for other people and I'm now working for myself. But I love talking up people's strengths and what makes their business different, why they're special for their customers, not even versus their competitors.
Heck with that. Yeah.
Right. But what makes them the best pick for their customers. So I love talking about marketing and talking about people's impact that they have with people. Yeah. Just that kind of goes hand in hand.
Is there a certain sector that you love to coach or do your marketing for?
I love to coach entrepreneurs. I love to help entrepreneurs who maybe lack the confidence, maybe lack the know-how, don't understand the importance of social media and consistency and being authentic to your customers. I love showing them that and helping them do that. Even if they take back their social media management and run with it themselves, great. My work here is done. Yeah. You're now feeling comfortable enough to do this for yourself. That's fantastic. So, yeah.
Can you tell when people are being authentic or fake on social media?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I think so too. I think I see it like, but I really know, for me personally, I know when somebody's being really authentic. I love authenticity. I think it's one thing I love most about people is like the good or the bad, or the good and the bad. You are who you are. And I just like when people are authentic. So what is one piece of advice you'd give an entrepreneur in the area of social media? What would you say?
Show your face more often. Show your face on your business social media and your personal life more often. Every time a person puts their face on their social media and they're the business owner, they're building trust with the people who are reading their posts. Okay. This is me. It's not just another picture of my product. This is the person behind the product. Yeah. Here's why I created this company. Here's the story behind why our family runs this company, right?
It's the why.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's really great. In fact, it's really simple.
It is.
Yeah, we get caught up in the product or the things that don't matter. But people buy you, they don't buy your product. Yeah. They buy your product because of who you are.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. So back to the victim and the victor. Yeah. Got any stories you want to share? Just to, not that I want to dwell on anything negative, but what's the positive about it? How'd you choose that? What clicked for you?
I have learned, again, going back to the impact that we make on other people's lives at the same time. When I share vulnerably the things that I am struggling with and how I'm working through them and how God has been great. God has been gracious to me and me being grateful for his provisions. It gives other people hope. I have either had to face a number of really difficult decisions in my life or been in really difficult scenarios in my life, and to share those life lessons with people, I hear so many times, even when sharing those things on Instagram or Facebook or wherever I'm sharing it, thank you for being so vulnerable and so authentic. This gives me so much hope.
And I think what you're saying here is great advice for all of us to stop looking like we're perfect and everything's great in my world. Because the reality is I've got problems too.
Yeah.
And let me be vulnerable with you and share with you where I'm struggling, where my pain points are, and realize I'm human too.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm never motivated by somebody who has it all together. I mean, cool, good for you, but I like to see the struggle, what they overcame to get to where they're at, and the humility that they show and the gratitude. And I think that's really what you're saying is, gratitude and humility is way more than arrogance and cockiness and look at me. Yet, would you say most of social media is really that?
A lot of it can be.
Okay.
A lot of it can be. I try to keep my social media authentic. Okay. And I think because I am influencing people in whatever way I am, others feel they can too.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you're looking at. Depends on the focus.
What's the name of your business?
Moxie Social Media.
Imagine that. Moxie Social Media.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Now I do.
Yeah.
And that makes sense to me. I love the story of Moxie. What does that mean? You're bold. And it's on your arm. I love that. Mm. And you make a difference in people's lives.
I try to, because God has told me to.
How so?
He puts me in positions where he's like, here you go.
Okay, Lauren, you said.
Yeah. Here you go.
Opportunities.
Yeah.
And you take them. He knows he can trust you in that.
Yeah. I think that goes back to the morals and values that I was raised with. When you know your morals and values, there's no thinking about it. And when you're in a position to make a quick decision, there's no thinking about it. When you know your morals and values, you know what the right thing is to do. And so you go do it.
Yeah.
And that's because I have always been pointed towards what is the right thing to do.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. Laura, this is fantastic. I love to hear your story. I love that we get to share it with the world.
Yeah.
And that you get to influence people through who you are, your boldness, but your love for people and to impact them in a positive way. Because we all have a story. We can all be the victim. I play victim sometimes,
Sure.
if I'm being honest. But I want to be a victor. I want to be an overcomer. And I got to hang around people that positively influence me to be a better guy, a better husband, a better dad. So you, by the way, I know you talk about a younger brother, but you have two younger siblings.
Just one. It's just me and my brother.
Oh, just you and one. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
There's two of you, not two others. Okay, gotcha. Where does your brother live?
He's in Dallas, Texas.
Not Dallas, Oregon, but Dallas, Texas.
Dallas,
okay.
Texas.
All right.
Just north of Dallas.
You guys close?
We're very close. In fact, I call him Buddy. His nickname all my life has been Buddy.
He's got to be a good guy, man, of course.
He is a good guy. He's a pilot for American Airlines. We're super close. We hated each other all through high school. I once may have given him a bloody nose.
You beat him up.
I threw a camera at him because he was making me really mad, and I gave him a bloody nose. And then I was like, don't tell Mom and Dad.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But you guys love each other today.
Yeah, we love each other. Yeah. I talked to him on the phone this morning.
It's funny. I also have an older sister, and younger on, she used to beat me up too. And then I learned how to wrestle, and then she stopped. So anyway, well, this is fantastic. I really appreciate you being on here. So one of my favorite things to do is close out a podcast with, what is a lesson that we didn't talk about that you'd love to share that God put on your heart, just to maybe one final piece, the exclamation point on our, and by the way, this is fantastic, but what is a piece of advice, a thought that you want to share?
I would say if you've gone through some really painful times, take time to process it. Don't just gloss over it and stay busy and do the things. This year, following a almost 20-year marriage that failed, I went away for my first vacation in about 10 years, and I spent the entire time on vacation journaling through all the ups and downs and the grief of that loss. And it was the best time. I cried a lot, but it was necessary work. And I would encourage everyone, if you have gone through some really difficult times, take time to process all of those emotions and how to move forward and how to dream again and how to create this next chapter of your life. Because just going about it without a focus, without an aim, without a vision will be aimless.
Giving yourself permission to be honest with yourself and journal. I really like that. And by the way, we all fail. Failure happens all the time, but failure is not final. God still gets the ultimate word. Where were you at on vacation? When you went on vacation, where'd you go?
So I went to some friends. I was invited by former pastors of mine from San Diego who were also marriage counselors to their Airbnb up in North Idaho. And they created a space for me and said, we want to create a space for you to be as quiet as you need to and separated as you need to, but also we want to be here for you as friends and pastors. And it was truly amazing.
How long were you there?
6 days.
Wow, those are 6 incredible days of just unpacking your life.
Yeah.
That journal probably means a lot to you.
Yeah, and I'd had that journal sitting on my desk for a year before I could even write anything in it, but I knew it's going on the vacation with me, and this is the focus of this trip, is to do some big journaling. And I did. Yeah. Lots of journaling and lots of tissue.
Yeah. I always say this, like you, like when I'm in town and I'm working, I don't get alone time and I don't get alone with God as much as I should, and I don't journal as much as I should. But when I go away on vacation, God always finds me and it becomes a way more intimate time. Yeah. And I get to really reflect and think about life, the good and the bad, things that God wants me to change and work on, and dream, like you said, dream a little bit. Yeah. So that was really good advice. Really, really good. If somebody wants to reach out to you, Lori, what's the best way to connect with you?
I would say either Facebook or Instagram, Lori the Girl with Moxie, or Moxie Social Media on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah.
They'll reach out to you and you'd be more than happy to meet with people. I know you would. Yeah. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So, well, hey, thank you all for listening this week. This has been a really incredible story. Thank you, Lori, for sharing, being transparent, vulnerable. And if you know of anybody that wants to be on the podcast and wants to share their story, we'd love to talk with you about that and share your story and impact the world, because that's what we're doing every day as we show up. So, Lori, you're showing up well, and even through hard times, you're doing it. So thank you for being a part of our show. Thank you all who listen each week, and we'll see you next week.